Hey everyone, welcome to another review. I am Collectible Critique, and today we're going to be checking out, finally, after a while of not making videos, we're going to be checking out The Question from DC Multiverse. Alright, so before we get into the figure, we can check out the pretty nice packaging that McFarlane always likes to provide. Again, this is going to be a DC Multiverse McFarlane Platinum Edition figure. For a new unique character, they made it a chase. That's like a whole different thing I'm going to rant about, but I was not a big fan when I figured out that this was going to be a chase figure, using air quotes. But I mean, overall, it's again pretty decent packaging. The artwork is nice. It isn't the figure that we're going to get. It's a different, because from a different series, different outfit for The Question. But it is DC Classics, so enough of that. Let's take a look at the figure. And so here he is. Here is The Question, and man, this figure, I mean, for the most part, it is a reuse from the top down, just getting that out the way. But man, it's a pretty good looking figure. Again, I hate that they made it a chase. For whatever reason, McFarlane wants to follow through with the chase and the different platinum and tiers or whatever, which I'm not a fan of. But thankfully, I was able to get this at a reasonable price, because Lord knows I wasn't going to find it for retail, at least. I have no luck when it comes to chase figures. But I mean, it's a great looking figure. The blues pop. It looks great with the yellow right here. He is very light on accessories, but I mean, what would you expect for The Question other than some extra hands, Todd? Like, come on. You can't really make this a chase figure and just have the bare bones, bare minimum. But let's get into the articulation. So going towards top to bottom, the head is on a ball joint. You can look up about this much, which is pretty good. You can look down that much. And again, there is paint on the head sculpt, which is pretty cool to give it like that shadowy effect, which I think looks pretty nice. Especially like when you're getting like those cool poses like that where he's like looking straight down. That looks pretty nice. Again, can rotate, can tilt his head, which is pretty good. Arms can go up about this much, double bend at the elbow. These are tight joints, and then again, bicep rotation as well. Hinged arms, or hands, sorry. And then he does have like the ball joint, but it's like an overcoat, so you're not really getting much out of that. Does have waist and pivot, which is pretty good. It's pretty solid for, you know, being in a pretty baggy suit. You can go back about this much. Go forward, not so much. It's probably all you're gonna get. Legs can kick up this much, kick out, and then double bend at the knee. And then legs that can hinge and pivot with toe articulation. So again, it's pretty straightforward. This is a reuse of the Joker from the Dark Knight series. But I mean, it's pretty, other than like some chains missing, I think again it's a pretty good looking figure. I don't know, maybe if it's just me, I'm always a big fan of like cloth goods. If maybe this overlay would have been cloth, I do know we saw that with a lot of collector edition figures, and I think the most recent was the Jonah Hex with like the jacket. I think that would have been cool to have it like a cloth trench coat, mainly just because like I feel like that would just be cooler. But this does suffice. It does its job. You got to be careful back here though, because this is very likely to tear. I mean, you can already kind of see it, how like little give is gonna have other than you just tearing it apart. But I mean, man, this is one of my favorite characters from DC. I grew up watching Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, so seeing The Question in figure form, I know the other previous DC line had a figure, but finally being able to have one in my collection is pretty cool. Again, he looks great in the blues. Now getting on to some comparisons, here is the DC Multiverse DC Classics Question next to one of my other favorite, I guess, obscure characters, even though he's pretty mainstream. Here he is next to Plastic Man. There's The Question next to the DC Multiverse Nightfall Batman in the black and gray, which I have as my Justice League Batman. I think he looks pretty good together. And if you do know about like the original comic, at least the Questions First comic run, the Batman does show up in it, and I think that's gonna be like pretty cool. And then here he is next to the Superman I have in my display. And last but certainly not least, and also a hint to hopefully my next review if I don't get lazy, there is the Question next to the Huntress. And overall, I mean, this is the chase figure, and again, I am not a huge fan of that marketing tactic. It's very hard to even find normal releases for McFarlane figures, at least in my area. So having to go even further into finding a chase variant that who knows even if any stores in my area would ever carry, it kind of sucks, especially for a character like this. I know he isn't an A-list character, but still, those who do want it, hopefully you guys were able to find it at retail. I unfortunately wasn't. Luckily, I found it at a decent price, because even now, this guy is going for like $80, and I'm like, that's not worth it. If you find this for anything more than $40, I wouldn't recommend pulling the trigger on that purchase. Just wait, honestly. Hopefully you'll find him sooner. Luckily I found him for I think around like $15-20 over retail, which again is, for me, it's way too much. But I just had to have this figure in hand, and I'm happy with the purchase. So if you don't mind forking over a little bit more, he's one I would recommend, especially if you're a fan of the character. If you don't, you just want to add a question to your collection, or if you're just like a 100% collector when it comes to these figures, I would recommend just to wait off and find a better deal. But let me know what you guys think. Hopefully I'm back making videos, who knows. But I think this is one of the good ones to come back to. It's a character I've always enjoyed since growing up, and a figure that I've wanted for a while, and luckily I was able to get him. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.